The bathroom light was dim, and the mirror was cracked at the corner. She stood there in silence, staring at her own reflection. A purple bruise spread under her eye, and faint marks circled her wrist. She touched her face gently, as if afraid the pain might wake up. This was her life now, quiet, careful, and full of fear. Her name was Lena. She used to smile a lot, but that smile had disappeared months ago. Now she spoke less, moved slower, and avoided eye contact. Not because she was weak, but because she had learned that silence kept her safe. Behind the bathroom door, her husband's voice echoed through the house. "Why are you taking so long?" he shouted, annoyed and impatient. Lena flinched, her shoulders tightening. She wiped her face quickly, pulled her sleeves down, and opened the door. He stood there, tall and cold, scrolling on his phone. He did not look at her bruises. He never did. To him, her pain was invisible. "Food is late again," he said without emotion. Lena nodded softly and walked toward the kitchen. Every step felt heavy, like she was carrying a weight no one could see. That night, Lena barely slept. Her body rested, but her mind did not. Memories played again and again, harsh words, slammed doors, and silent tears. She wondered how long a person could live like this. The next morning, a loud knock broke the quiet of the house. Lena froze, her heart racing. Her husband frowned and opened the door. A woman stood outside, strong and straight, wearing simple clothes and a military bag over her shoulder. Her eyes were sharp, alert, and full of purpose. She looked exactly like Lena, but also completely different. It was her twin sister, Maya. Maya stepped inside and looked at Lena carefully. Her eyes moved from Lena's face to her arms, then back to her eyes. In that moment, Maya saw everything. The bruises, the fear, the broken silence. "Who did this?" Maya asked quietly. Lena tried to smile, tried to shake her head, but her lips trembled and her eyes filled with tears. Maya did not need more words. She had trained for war zones, danger, and survival, but nothing prepared her for seeing her sister like this. The husband cleared his throat and forced a fake smile. "She is clumsy," he said casually. Maya turned to him slowly, her stare sharp and cold. For the first time, the man felt uncomfortable in his own house. Later that day, the sisters sat alone in the small bedroom. Lena finally broke down, her quiet strength collapsing into tears. She told Maya everything: the control, the fear, the bruises. Maya listened without interrupting, her jaw tight, her hands clenched. When Lena finished, Maya spoke in a calm but firm voice. "This ends now," she said. Lena looked at her in shock. "What do you mean?" she whispered. Maya leaned closer and lowered her voice. "Tomorrow, we switch places." Lena's eyes widened. "That's impossible," she said softly. Maya shook her head. "He will never know." Maya explained the plan, slow and clear. She would take Lena's place, live in the house, face the husband. Lena would go somewhere safe, somewhere quiet. For the first time in a long time, Lena felt a small spark of hope. Before the night ended, Maya placed her hand over Lena's. "You are not weak," she said. "You survived." At this point, let us take a short moment. Welcome to Silent Family Tears. If you love emotional stories with deep pain, strength, and powerful twists, subscribe to the channel now. And if this story touches your heart, write your thoughts in the comments below. Now the story continue. That night, the house felt different. The husband sensed something strange, but could not explain it. Lena lay awake, knowing tomorrow everything would change. Morning arrived quietly. The sisters stood facing each other, dressed the same, hair tied the same. They hugged tightly. Lena whispered, "Be careful." Maya replied, "Be free." As Lena walked out of the house for the last time, Maya stepped in fully. The door closed behind her. Inside that house, a dangerous game had begun, and the man who thought he controlled everything had no idea. He was about to regret every action he had ever taken. Morning light entered the house slowly, soft but cold. Maya stood in the kitchen, wearing Lena's clothes, moving like she belonged there. Her face looked calm, but her mind was sharp and alert. Years of military training had taught her one thing very clearly: danger often hides behind normal routines. The husband sat at the table, drinking his coffee, scrolling on his phone. He did not look up when Maya placed the cup in front of him. "About time," he said without emotion. Maya watched him closely, measuring his tone, his body language, his control. She did not respond the way Lena usually did. She did not apologize. She did not lower her eyes. Instead, she stood still for 1 second longer than expected. That small pause made the husband look up, confused. "What?" he asked, irritated. Maya tilted her head slightly, her voice soft but steady. "Nothing," she said. The words sounded normal, but something about it felt different. The husband frowned, then shrugged it off. He believed he knew his wife too well to question her. Control had made him careless. After he left the house, Maya locked the door and released a slow breath. She walked through each room carefully. The living room felt heavy, like the walls had absorbed years of fear. She noticed small details Lena had mentioned. A broken vase glued back together, a chair with a loose leg, a door with a cracked frame. These were not accidents. They were signs. Across town, Lena sat in a quiet room at a safe place Maya had arranged. The silence felt strange, almost unreal. No shouting, no footsteps behind her, no fear of saying the wrong word. For the first time in a long time, she breathed freely. Back at the house, Maya began the real test. When the husband returned in the afternoon, she watched his reaction closely. He tossed his keys on the table and spoke sharply. "Why is the house so quiet?" Maya met his eyes calmly. "I was cleaning," she said. Her voice did not shake. The husband narrowed his eyes. Lena usually avoided eye contact. This small change made him uncomfortable. "You're acting strange," he said. Maya stepped closer, just one step. "Am I?" she asked softly. The air shifted. The husband laughed nervously, trying to regain control. "Don't start," he said. Maya nodded slowly and stepped back. Not because she was afraid, but because she was learning. That evening, they sat together for dinner. The husband complained as usual. About work, about money, about life. Maya listened silently, storing every word. When he insulted her cooking, she did not flinch. Instead, she placed her fork down calmly. "If you don't like it, you can cook tomorrow," she said. The room went silent. The husband stared at her, shocked. "What did you say?" he asked sharply. Maya repeated the same words, calm and clear. For the first time, the man felt something he had never felt before in his own home. Uncertainty. That night, the husband lay awake. Something was wrong. His wife felt different. Stronger, colder, less afraid. Meanwhile, Lena sat on the edge of her bed, holding a cup of warm tea. Her phone buzzed with a short message from Maya. "I am in control." Tears filled Lena's eyes, but this time they were not from pain. The next day, Maya began pushing boundaries slowly. She spoke when spoken to. She asked questions. She said no once, then twice. Each time, the husband reacted with confusion and anger. "You never used to be like this," he snapped. Maya looked at him calmly. "People change," she said. That sentence hit him harder than any argument. Because deep inside, he knew why she had changed. And that truth scared him. Later that evening, Maya discovered something important. Hidden inside a drawer were documents, messages, and records. Proof of control, threats, and manipulation. She photographed everything quietly. This was no longer just about revenge. This was about justice. Outside, Lena walked freely for the first time in years. She felt fear, yes, but also strength growing inside her, knowing her sister was standing where she once stood. As night fell, the husband sat alone in the living room, watching Maya move around the house with quiet confidence. A strange thought crossed his mind. What if I pushed her too far? He did not know the truth yet. He did not know that the woman in his house was not his wife. And he did not know that every second brought him closer to regret. Because the swap was only the beginning, and the consequences were already moving toward him. The change did not happen all at once. It started with small moments. Moments so quiet that the husband almost missed them. Maya moved through the house with calm control. She no longer rushed when he entered a room. She no longer jumped at sudden sounds. Her silence was no longer fear. It was observation. The husband noticed it during breakfast. He spoke sharply, expecting the usual soft reply. But Maya simply nodded and continued eating. No apology. No excuse. "What is wrong with you these days?" he asked, annoyed. Maya lifted her eyes slowly. Her look was steady, not challenging, but not weak. "Nothing is wrong," she said. Her voice was even. That calm response made him uncomfortable. He preferred anger or tears. Calm gave him nothing to control. Later that day, the husband raised his voice over something small. A glass left on the counter. A window left open. Things he used as excuses. Maya listened without interrupting. When he finished, expecting fear, she spoke softly. You don't need to shout. The words were simple, but they landed hard. The room fell silent. The husband stared at her, confused and angry. Don't tell me how to talk in my own house, he snapped. Maya took a slow breath. Our house, she corrected quietly. That single word changed everything. The husband felt something break inside his sense of control. A small crack, but real. Across town, Lena sat by the window of her safe room. She watched people walk freely outside, laughing, talking, living. Her phone buzzed again. Another short message from Maya. He is slipping. Lena held the phone tightly. Her heart raced with fear and hope mixed together. For years, she believed nothing could change. Now change had entered the house wearing her face. That evening, neighbors gathered outside for a small event. The husband insisted Maya join him. In the past, Lena would have refused quietly. But Maya agreed, not because she wanted to please him, but because she wanted witnesses. At the gathering, the husband made a joke at Maya's expense. Something sharp and humiliating. People laughed awkwardly, waiting for Maya to look down, waiting for silence. Instead, Maya smiled slightly. That joke isn't funny, she said calmly. The laughter stopped. Eyes turned toward the husband. He forced a laugh, pretending it was nothing. But his face burned. For the first time, his power failed in public. That was the second crack. On the way home, the husband exploded with anger. You embarrassed me, he shouted. Maya did not raise her voice. You embarrassed yourself, she replied. The car went silent. The husband gripped the steering wheel tightly. His anger had nowhere to land. No fear, no tears. That night, he stood outside the bedroom door, listening to Maya move calmly inside. Something deep inside him whispered a dangerous thought. What if she leaves? The idea terrified him, not because he loved her, but because losing control felt like losing himself. The next morning, Maya made another move. She said no. Just one word, clear and calm. No. The husband froze. He stared at her as if he had never seen her before. You never say no, he said slowly. Maya met his eyes. I am saying it now. That moment marked a turning point. The house no longer belonged to fear. It belonged to tension. Later that day, Maya found Lena's old notebook hidden in a drawer. Pages filled with quiet pain. Dates, short sentences, silent cries written between lines. Maya's hands trembled as she read. This was worse than she imagined. She photographed every page carefully. Proof. Truth. Weapons stronger than anger. Across town, Lena walked alone in the evening light. Her steps were still cautious, but her back was straighter. For the first time, she imagined a future without fear. Back at the house, the husband sat alone, watching Maya move freely from room to room. She was still quiet, still calm, but no longer small. He realized something then. The silence he once controlled no longer belonged to him. And that scared him more than shouting ever could. Because silence, in the hands of the strong, becomes power, and the cracks in his control were only growing wider. Fear entered the house quietly, not with shouting, not with anger, but with doubt. The husband woke up that morning with a heavy feeling in his chest. He stared at the ceiling longer than usual. Something was slipping from his hands, and he did not know how to stop it. In the kitchen, Maya moved with calm purpose. She prepared breakfast slowly. No rush, no nerves. That calm made him uneasy. You're quiet, he said, trying to sound normal. I always am, Maya replied. The words were simple, but the tone was different. He watched her closely. Her shoulders were straight, her hands steady. This was not the woman he had trained to fear him. At work, his mind could not settle. He replayed her words again and again. I deserve respect. I am not afraid. Each sentence felt like a threat. When he returned home early, he expected the house to feel familiar. Instead, it felt foreign, like he was a guest, not the ruler. Maya sat at the table reading quietly. She did not jump when the door opened. She did not look guilty. She looked ready. Why are you home so early? She asked calmly. The question shocked him. Lena never asked questions. Questions meant confidence. I don't need to explain myself, he snapped. Maya nodded slowly. You don't, she said. But I also don't need to be afraid. That sentence struck something deep inside him. Fear began to rise. Not fear of her, fear of losing control. That afternoon, he tried to return to old habits. He raised his voice. He criticized small things. He searched for tears. But Maya gave him nothing. She listened. She stayed calm. She did not shrink. When he finally stopped talking, she spoke softly. Yelling doesn't make you right. Those words cut deeper than shouting ever could. The man stepped back, confused. His power no longer worked the way it used to. Across town, Lena sat with a counselor. For the first time, she spoke freely. Her voice shook, but she did not stop. Each word lifted a weight from her chest. That evening, Maya made a bold move. She called a family dinner. The husband did not like the idea, but he agreed, hoping to look strong. When family members arrived, the house filled with voices. Laughter. Questions. Normal life. The husband watched Maya closely, waiting for her to slip, waiting for fear. Instead, Maya spoke clearly. She answered questions. She laughed softly. She looked alive. When someone asked how marriage was going, the husband smiled tightly. Before he could answer, Maya spoke. Some days are hard, she said calmly. But I am learning to speak for myself. The room went quiet. Not shocked, but attentive. The husband felt heat rise to his face. That sentence exposed too much. Without accusation. Without drama. After dinner, he pulled Maya aside. You are ruining everything, he whispered angrily. Maya looked at him steadily. I am saving myself, she replied. Those words broke something inside him. This was no longer a game he could control. That night, he searched through drawers and cabinets, trying to find proof, evidence, something to hold over her. Instead, he found empty spaces, files gone, papers missing. His chest tightened with panic. He sat alone in the dark living room. For the first time, he felt small, not powerful, not feared. Meanwhile, Lena stood outside her safe place. Looking at the night sky, she felt fear, but also strength growing inside her. Her phone vibrated. A message from Maya arrived. He is scared now. Lena closed her eyes. She knew that fear meant change, and change meant freedom. Back in the house, the husband finally understood something important. Fear had changed sides. The silence he once used as a weapon was no longer his. Upstairs, Maya locked the door and sat on the bed. She allowed herself one slow breath. Just one. The plan was working, but the danger was growing. Because a man who is losing control is often more dangerous than one who has it. And the night was far from over. The invitation came from the husband's side of the family. A weekend gathering. Simple food, familiar faces. A place where he usually felt respected. He believed this would fix everything. Public spaces made him feel strong. Witnesses made him confident. Maya understood that immediately. She agreed to go without hesitation. Not because she wanted peace, but because she wanted truth to be seen. The drive there was silent. The husband watched her from the corner of his eye. She looked calm, almost peaceful. That calm made his stomach twist. When they arrived, relatives greeted them warmly. Questions came quickly. Smiles, laughter, normal life. The husband placed his hand on Maya's shoulder. Not gently, but possessively, as if reminding everyone she belonged to him. Maya did not react. She gently stepped forward instead, breaking the contact. Inside the house, people gathered around the table. Stories were shared. Jokes were made. The husband laughed loudly, trying to pull attention back to himself. Then it happened. Someone asked Maya how married life was going. The husband answered quickly. She's dramatic sometimes, he said with a smile. People laughed softly, unsure. In the past, Lena would have lowered her eyes. She would have smiled weakly. She would have protected him with silence. Maya did none of that. She looked around the table calmly, then spoke. Marriage is not supposed to hurt, she said. Her voice was gentle, but clear. The room froze. No shouting, no accusation, just truth. The husband laughed sharply. Don't start, he said, trying to control the moment. Maya continued calmly. Love does not leave bruises. Someone gasped softly. Another person shifted uncomfortably. The husband's face turned red. He stood up quickly. You are embarrassing me, he snapped. Maya stood as well, her posture steady, her eyes calm. No, she said softly. I am embarrassing your lies. The silence was heavy. Every eye was on them now. One relative spoke carefully. What bruises? Maya lifted her sleeve slowly. Just enough. Old marks were visible. Not dramatic, but real. The husband stepped back. This is private, he shouted. His voice shook. Maya nodded slowly. Abuse survives in private, she said. That was the moment he lost the room. No shouting could save him. No anger could hide the truth. People whispered. Questions followed. Concern replaced laughter. The husband grabbed his coat. "We are leaving," he ordered. Maya did not move. "I am staying," she said. He stared at her in disbelief. "You will come with me." Maya met his eyes. "No," she replied. That single word landed like a strike. He left alone, the door closing loudly behind him. Inside the house, someone placed a hand on Maya's arm. "Are you safe?" they asked quietly. Maya nodded. "For now," she said. Across town, Lena received a call. Her heart raced as Maya spoke softly. "It is out now." Lena cried, not from fear, but from relief. That night, the husband sat alone in his car. Anger burned inside him. But beneath it was something worse. Shame. His phone buzzed with missed calls. Messages he could not answer. Back at the gathering, Maya stayed calm. She did not explain everything. She did not beg for sympathy. She let silence speak. When she finally returned home later that night, the house felt empty, quiet. She packed a small bag, not to leave, but to prepare, because men who lose power in public often seek it back in private. Across town, Lena looked at her reflection. She saw fear still there, but strength too. She whispered to herself, "This ends." Back in the dark house, the husband returned late. His movements were sharp, uncontrolled. He realized then, his image was broken. His control cracked beyond repair. And for the first time, the fear he once created now lived inside him. Because tomorrow, consequences would arrive, and there would be no place left to hide. The house felt colder the next morning, not because of weather, but because truth was close. The husband woke up late, his head heavy, his thoughts scattered. Images from the family gathering replayed in his mind. Faces staring, whispers growing. When he walked into the kitchen, Maya was already there. She stood near the window, calm and steady. Sunlight touched her face. She did not turn around when he entered. "We need to talk," he said sharply. Maya nodded slowly. "Yes," she replied. "We do." That calm answer made his chest tighten. He wanted fear. He wanted control. But she gave him neither. "You made me look like a monster," he snapped. Maya turned to face him. Her eyes were clear. "You did that yourself," she said. He slammed his hand on the table. "This stays in this house," he ordered. Maya did not move. "No," she said quietly. That word again. The word that broke his power. Across town, Lena sat in a small office. A counselor and a legal worker sat across from her. Her hands shook, but she kept talking. Every word mattered now. Back in the house, the husband paced the room. "You think people will believe you," he said, laughing without humor. Maya watched him carefully. "They already are," she replied. His laughter stopped. Fear crept into his voice. "What are you planning?" Maya took a slow breath. "I am planning to end this," she said. He stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. "You belong to me," he said. Maya looked at him, really looked at him. Then she spoke words he did not expect. "No," she said. "I never did." Something in her tone made him pause. Not anger, not fear. Authority. "You're acting like someone else," he said slowly. Maya nodded. "Because I am." The room went still. His face tightened. "What does that mean?" he asked. Maya reached into her bag and pulled out an identification card. She placed it on the table. Slowly, deliberately. He looked at it, then looked at her. Confusion washed over his face. "This isn't funny," he said. Maya's voice stayed calm. "I am not your wife," she said. The words hung in the air. Heavy, sharp. "I am her twin sister," Maya continued. "A military officer." His face drained of color. "What?" he whispered. "I came here because my sister could not speak," Maya said. "So I did." He stepped back, shaking his head. "You're lying." Maya straightened her posture, the way soldiers do without thinking. "I never lie about identity," she said. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Sharp and sudden, the husband froze. His heart raced. "Who is that?" he asked. Maya walked toward the door calmly. "Help," she said. The door opened. Two officials stood outside, along with Lena. Lena looked different. Her face still soft, but her eyes stronger. The husband stared at her, shocked. "You," he whispered. "Yes," Lena said quietly. "I am here." The officials stepped inside. The house no longer felt safe, no longer private. Maya stood beside Lena, protective, unmovable. "This is not necessary," the husband said quickly, trying to smile, trying to control the room. Lena took a breath. Her voice shook, but she did not stop. "It is necessary," she said. She looked at him, not with fear, but with truth. I was silent because I was afraid, Lena continued. I am not silent anymore. The officials listened. Notes were taken. Questions asked. The husband's anger turned into panic. He spoke too fast. Too loud. Maya placed herself slightly in front of Lena. A simple movement, but powerful. That is enough, Maya said. Her voice carried authority. The room shifted. Control left him completely. Outside, neighbors watched quietly. Whispers returned. But this time, they were not cruel. As the officials prepared to leave with instructions and warnings, the husband collapsed into a chair, his world shrinking. Lena stood near the door, her heart racing, but her back straight. Maya leaned close and whispered, "This is just the beginning." The husband looked up slowly, realizing too late. He had not been facing a silent victim. He had been facing truth, disguised as silence. And now, there was no way back. The house felt smaller after that day, not because the walls had moved, but because the truth had taken all the space. The husband sat alone at the kitchen table. The chair across from him was empty. No silence to control anymore. Only silence that judged him. Lena stayed at a safe place that night. The door locked. The lights soft. Her body tired, but her mind awake. She sat on the bed holding a blanket. Memories tried to return. The shouting, the fear, the bruises. But something was different now. Those memories no longer owned her. Maya stood nearby, watching quietly. Not as a soldier, not as a fighter, but as a sister. "You did the hardest part," Maya said softly. Lena shook her head. "You did," she replied. Maya placed a hand over Lena's. "No," she said. "You survived long enough for help to arrive." The next morning came with heavy news. The officials returned, papers in hand, serious faces. The husband opened the door slowly, his eyes tired, his confidence gone. He tried to speak, to joke, to explain, but no one was listening anymore. Restrictions were placed. Warnings were clear. Consequences were written in ink. The house that once felt like a prison now felt temporary, unstable. Across town, Lena sat in a quiet office again. This time not shaking. This time not whispering. She told her story from the beginning. Every detail, every mark, every night of silence. Her voice broke at times, but she did not stop. Each word was a step forward. Maya sat behind her. Silent support. Strong presence. When Lena finished, the room stayed quiet. Not uncomfortable. Respectful. That afternoon, news traveled faster than the husband expected. Family members called. Some angry. Some ashamed. Some silent. He answered none of them. His phone face down on the table. For the first time, he felt exposed. Not attacked. Seen. Days passed slowly, each one heavier than the last. The husband noticed people keeping distance. Neighbors who once greeted him warmly now nodded briefly. Friends stopped inviting him. The power he built on image began to crumble. One evening, he sat alone in the dark living room. No shouting, no fear to feed on, just regret knocking loudly inside his chest. Across town, Lena walked outside alone. The air cool, the sky wide. She took slow steps. Still careful, still healing. But every step was hers. She started doing small things again. Choosing her own clothes. Eating when she wanted. Sleeping without fear of footsteps. These small freedoms felt bigger than anything she ever owned. One afternoon, she stood in front of a mirror. She noticed something new. Her shoulders were no longer pulled inward. Her reflection looked back at her. Not broken, not weak. Learning. The husband received a final notice days later. Clear words. Clear limits. His hands shook as he read. The reality sinking in. Control was gone. Authority gone. Silence gone. He whispered to himself. I never thought she would speak. That was his mistake. Meanwhile, Lena and Maya sat together in the evening light. No words needed. Lena finally spoke. I was afraid you would get hurt. Maya smiled softly. I was trained for danger, she said. But I was never trained to watch my sister disappear. They shared a quiet moment. Not sad. Not angry. Free. That night, Lena wrote something in a new notebook. Not dates of pain. Not hidden fear. But plans. Small dreams. Simple hopes. Across town, the husband packed a bag. Not because he wanted to leave, but because he had to. He stood at the door of the house one last time. The house that once made him feel powerful. Now only empty. He realized something too late. Fear does not create loyalty. Silence does not mean acceptance. And control never lasts forever. As Lena closed her notebook and turned off the light, she felt a strange calm. The worst was over. But the story was not finished yet, because freedom always comes with one final test. And the last chapter was still waiting. The morning arrived quietly. No shouting, no tension in the air, just soft light moving through the window. Lena stood alone on the balcony of her new place. The city waking up below her. Cars passing, people walking, life continuing. For a long time, she simply stood there, breathing, feeling the ground under her feet, reminding herself that this peace was real. Maya packed her bag inside, her uniform folded neatly. Duty was calling her back, but her eyes stayed on her sister. "You ready?" Maya asked gently. Lena nodded. "I think so," she replied. They sat together one last time before Maya left. No long speeches, no promises, just understanding. "You won't always feel strong," Maya said softly. "And that's okay." Lena smiled faintly. "I know," she said. When Maya finally walked toward the door, Lena felt fear rise again. Just for a second, Maya noticed and turned back, placing her hands on Lena's shoulders. "You found your voice," she said. "No one can take that away." The door closed behind Maya, and Lena was alone. Not abandoned, just alone. Across town, the husband sat in a small rented room. The walls bare, the silence loud. He stared at his phone. Old messages unread, missed calls unanswered. He told himself he was the victim, that things went too far, that everyone misunderstood him. But late at night, when no one was watching, the truth found him. He remembered Lena's silence. Not the calm kind, the scared kind. For the first time, regret came without anger. Heavy, unavoidable. Days passed, then weeks. Lena started a new routine. Morning walks, simple meals, short conversations with kind people. One afternoon, she received a message from an unknown number. Her hands froze. Her heart raced. The message was short. "I'm sorry." No name. No excuse. Lena stared at the screen, the past trying to pull her back. She took a deep breath, then deleted the message. That was the final twist. Not forgiveness. Not revenge. Choice. She chose herself. That evening, Lena attended a small support meeting. She sat in a circle of strangers, all carrying different pain. When it was her turn to speak, her voice shook, but she did not stop. "I stayed silent because I thought silence was safety," she said. It was not. The room listened, not with pity, with respect. After the meeting, a young woman stopped her. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I needed to hear that." Lena walked home under the night sky, feeling lighter. Not healed, but healing. Across town, the husband stood in front of a mirror. The same mirror that once reflected control, now reflected emptiness. He whispered, "I lost everything." What he did not understand, yet was simple. He did not lose everything that day. He lost it long before. The moment he chose control over care. Back in her apartment, Lena opened her notebook again. She wrote one final line about the past. "Silence saved me once, but truth saved me forever." She closed the notebook and placed it away. The past no longer needed pages. The next morning, Lena woke up early. She made coffee, opened the window, and let fresh air in. She smiled. Not wide, not perfect, but real. Somewhere far away, Maya stood in uniform again, looking at the horizon, knowing her mission was complete. And somewhere in a small room, a man sat with nothing but his thoughts, learning too late that fear is a weak foundation. The story did not end with shouting or punishment. It ended with something stronger. A woman choosing her voice, a sister choosing protection, and silence finally losing its power. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Silent Family Tears and share your thoughts in the comments. Because stories like this deserve to be heard. And sometimes, the quietest voices carry the strongest truth.